Hello everyone, you've tuned into Business Today and I'm Aakanksha. Today we have with us a very special guest. He's SIVA PRASAD Nanduri. He's the CBO of TEAMLEASE Digital and today we're going to talk with him about jobs in the IT sector. Thank you for joining us, sir.
Thank you very much, Aakanksha, for having me here. Pleasure
So
talking to
we'll
you.
just start with the questions. So the whole West, especially the US, is bracing for they have high inflation levels, they're bracing for a recession and an economic slowdown. Do you think this is also going to impact the Indian IT sector because a major chunk of the revenues come from overseas? And will this also have an impact on the jobs of people who are working in the IT sector?
See, well, while we understand that US is a major economy in the world, it contributes to almost 20% of the world GDP over last 2 decades. But having said that, I think the macroeconomic status in the US, which is where the inflation is maneuvering around 5%. I think if it's going to come to 2%, we would definitely see that the recession will not have an impact in India. But at this point of time, it's too early to comment. But yes, the effects of US inflation is being seen in the Indian geography, especially in the IT industry.
All right, sir. All right, sir. There are many trendy words that have been catching up with the workforce in the IT sector. People say people want to moonlight, as in take up multiple, take up side gigs or have a secondary employment. And there's like a new trendy word called quiet quitting, that we do only the bare minimum, which is required. So is this because there is a disconnect between the employer and the employee? And what is actually causing all of this conflict?
Well, I mean, the world is divided on this. Few people are saying it's highly unethical, but the startup world is more encouraging on moonlighting. But I think for me, at this point of a policy point of view, we don't have a framework where an employee can have two jobs at this point of time. So I think the legal framework does not permit anyone to have two employments. But I think gig over a period of time or moonlighting, what they're going to call or what they're calling is going to catch up in the coming years, and that we see as a trend that people will work on multiple projects with multiple customers, but we will have to see how the policy changes are going to take place in this matter.
All right, sir. So talking about employees and the attrition rate in the IT sector has, touched record numbers. The attrition rate at Wipro doubled in 4 quarters. So Wipro actually introduced a few HR policies, as in they had quarterly promotions, freshers had a 5-year career path and stuff like that. So could you tell us how this actually impacted the attrition at Wipro, and are these policies actually helpful and should other companies also take them up?
Well, there are two elements to this. One is attrition is not just compounded to an organization, but I think leave aside the names. If I was to say why attrition, one is that the super cycles of digitization has led to a huge opportunity, and that has created a lot of supply versus demand gap. Point number one. And you also see a lot of global players who are coming into India. The GCC market, which is about 1,400, is going to move to about 2,500, 3,000 as per the market estimates. So there are global players who want to come in. So I think attrition is going to continue, irrespective of what the macroeconomic conditions are. Uh, Attrition is going to continue in the Indian geography. That's it, because the IT sector is in boom. The second element, if I was to break your question, a lot of organizations today are taking measures to control attrition. Now, how fruitful it is, time is going to tell. But I think at this point of time, the measures that I've taken are still uh, not sufficient, because employees, the way employees treat employment has changed post pandemic. So the ask and need of employees have changed. So we'll have to lay out a clear cut strategy as to how we control attrition, and we will see organizations evolving different strategies in the coming quarters and in the coming years.
All right, sir. So people do say that attrition is a big problem, but could you explain to our audience, like very simple words, that why attrition is a problem? People say it causes pressures on margin, it's hard to train workers. So what are the fundamental problems which a company faces when employees leave and they have to replace them very frequently?
See, the fundamental problem, I mean, if I was to put a thumb rule to it, it's always business continuity. That comes to top of my mind, because somebody is involved in the project and you have a discontinuity of employment. your business continuity plan goes for a toss. And the amount of time taken of hiring a new employee and training them on the respective projects takes even more longer. So therefore, you have a situation wherein you're a catch 22, where you lose money on investing on training on employees, and you lose time as well. And the biggest, most important element is that you lose your customer business.
All right, sir. Since you probably interact or maybe come across many people, who want to take up jobs in the IT sector or something like that, do you feel that there is a skill gap when it comes to people joining the IT sector? Do companies actually have to invest a lot of money when it comes to training their employees, for, be it for specific projects or be it just to make sure that they are, suited for the industry standards?
That's a good question, Aakanksha. Point number one is that if you look at the technology stack over a period of last 2-3 years, it's evolving and it's dynamic, right? The technology stack, what is used by a lot of companies earlier, is not used now. So this, because of the change in technology stack, there is always a skill gap in the market, irrespective of how upskilling, reskilling you do. We see that the candidates who are applying for jobs don't have the prerequisite of skills at a very broader level. And in my view, that's going to continue for a while.
So, sir, do you think that the industry should have a hand in making the curriculum of colleges? I mean, so that the people can keep up with the changing standards of the industry?
I'm sure a lot of today the academia is working with a lot of corporates in redefining, redesigning uh, the the curriculum what the students are going through. Now you have private universities. I'm sorry, which are uh, building courses based on skills rather than actual based on the jobs that are going to get provided. So I think and the new NEP policy is also going to bring a lot of drastic changes. So I think having said that, with industry academia working together, I think the skill gap is going to reduce over a period of time, and I'm sure that the new policies that are being implemented will have a rippling effect on reducing the skill gap.
All right, sir. I just had one more question. The whole work from office and the work from home debate. So, what do you think is the optimum way to, maintain the productivity levels and also not, make employees feel bad about, like, so that they don't lose out the efficiency in commute and things like that?
Well, I'm a man of old school thought, but going with the Gen X, I think it's important to maintain a work life balance. That's what a lot of employees today are asking. So my recommendation is that having an hybrid culture of work, that you work couple of days in a week at office and rest of the days you can work from home or anywhere. I think that policy will be suited for a lot of job seekers or the office going.
All right, sir. So, and what do you think, this is the last question, what do you think would be the outlook of jobs and outlook for the industry in general in the coming time?
Well, we expect the jobs to double. We expect the IT employment, which is currently at 4.5 to 5 million, growing to about 9.5 to 10 million over the next 5 years. So the industry is going to grow, and the job market is going to be very upbeat. I mean, the trend that we're currently seeing of a hiring freeze is just a sine wave because of the macroeconomic conditions. But I think we are poised for growth, and that growth, and India is in the right place for that growth.
Thank you, sir. It was a very lovely conversation. Thank you,
Pleasure is
sir.
all
Thank you
mine.
for joining us.
Thank you so much.
Tha-
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
If you like the video, do like, comment, share and subscribe.